A General Dictionary of the English Language. By Samuel Johnson. Master of Arts. First published in 1755, in 2 volumes. Letter A. From above. To about, preposition. Above. Preposition. From A, and Buffon, Saxon. Boven, Dutch. 1. Higher in place. So, when with crackling flames, a cauldron fries, the bubbling waters from the bottom rise. Above the brims, they force their fiery way. Black vapors climb aloft and cloud the day. John Dryden, Aeneid, Chapter 7, line 643. 2. More in quantity, or number. Every one that passeth among them, that are numbered from 20 years old and above, shall give an offering unto the Lord. Exodus, chapter 30, verse 14. 3. Higher in rank, power, or excellence. The Lord is high above all nations, and his glory above the heavens. Psalm, chapter 113, verse 4. The public power of all societies is above every soul contained in the same societies. Richard Hooker, Book 1. There is no riches above a sound body, and no joy above the joy of the heart. Ecclesiasticus, chapter 30, verse 16. To her, thou didst resign thy manhood and the place wherein God set thee above her made of thee, and for thee whose perfection far excelled hers in all real dignity. John Milton's Paradise Lost, Book 10, line 147. Latona sees her shine above the rest, and feeds with secret joy her silent breast. John Dryden's Aeneid. 4. Superior to, unattainable by. It is an old and true distinction that things may be above our reason, without being contrary to it. Of this kind are the power, the nature, and the universal presence of God, with innumerable other points. Jonathan Swift. 5. Beyond, more than. We were pressed out of measure above strength, insomuch that we despaired even of life. 2 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 8. In this, of having thoughts unconfused, and being able nicely to distinguish one thing from another, where there is but the least difference, consists, in a great measure, the exactness of judgment and clearness of reason, which is to be observed in one man above another. John Locke. The inhabitants of Tyrol have many particular privileges above those of the other hereditary countries of the emperor. Joseph Addison, on Italy. 6. Too proud for, too high for. A phrase chiefly used in familiar expression. Kings and princes, in the earlier ages of the world, labored in arts and occupations, and were above nothing that tended to promote the conveniences of life. Alexander Pope's Odyssey, notes. Above. Adverb. 1. Overhead. To men standing below. Men standing aloft seem much lessened to those above. Men standing below seem not so much lessened. Francis Bacon. When he established the clouds above. When he strengthened the fountains of the deep. When he gave to the sea his decree that the waters should not pass his commandment. When he appointed the foundations of the earth. Then I was by him as one brought up with him, and I was daily his delight, rejoicing always before him. Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 28. 2. In the regions of heaven. Your praise the birds shall chant in every grove, and winds shall waft it to the powers above. Alexander Pope's Pastorals. 3. Before. See above cited. I said above that these two machines of the balance and the Dyra were only ornamental, and that the success of the duel had been the same without them. John Dryden, Dedication, Aeneid. From above. 1. From an higher place. The Trojans from above their foes beheld, and with armed legions all the ramparts filled. John Dryden, Aeneid. 2. From heaven. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, either shadow of turning. James, chapter 1, verse 17. Above all. In the first place, chiefly. I had also studied Virgil's design, his disposition of it, his manners, his judicious management of the figures, the sober retrenchments of his sense, which always leaves somewhat to gratify our imagination, on which it may enlarge at pleasure. But above all, the elegance of his expression and the harmony of his numbers. John Dryden's Dedication to the Aeneid. Above board. In open sight. Without artifice or trick. A figurative expression. Borrowed from gamesters, who, when they put their hands under the table, are changing their cards. It is used only in familiar language. It is the part, also, of an honest man to deal above board and without tricks. Sir Roger Lestrange. Though there have not been wanting such heretofore as have practiced these unworthy arts, forasmuch as there have been villains in all places and all ages, yet nowadays they are owned above board. Robert South's Sermons. Above cited. Cited before. A figurative expression, taken from the ancient manner of writing books on scrolls, as whatever is cited or mentioned before in the same page must be above. Nor would I mention this particular, did it not appear from the authority above cited that this was a fact confessed by heathens themselves. Joseph Addison, On the Christian Religion. Above ground. An expression used to signify that a man is alive, not in the grave. Above mentioned. See above cited. I do not remember that Homer anywhere falls into the faults above mentioned, which were, indeed, the false refinements of latter ages. Joseph Addison, Spectator, number 279. To abound. Verb neuter. Abundo, Latin. Abonder, French. 1. To have in great plenty. Used sometimes with the particle in, and sometimes the particle with. The king becoming graces. I have no relish of them, but abound in the division of each several crime, acting it many ways. William Shakespeare's Macbeth. Corn, wine, and oil are wanting to this ground, in which our countries fruitfully abound. John Dryden, Indian Emperor. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that mocketh haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Proverbs, chapter 28, verse 20. Now that languages are made and abound with words standing for such combinations, an usual way of getting these complex ideas is by the explication of those terms that stand for them. John Locke. 2. To be in great plenty, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Matthew, chapter 24, verse 12. Words are like leaves, and where they most abound, much fruit of sense beneath is rarely found. Alexander Pope's Essay on Criticism. About. Preposition. Abutan, or Abutun, Saxon. Which seems to signify, encircling on the outside. 1. Round, surrounding, encircling. Let not mercy and truth forsake thee. Bind them about thy neck. Write them upon the table of thy heart. Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 3. At this, she loudly shrieks. It is he, it is he. She cries, and tears her cheeks. Her hair, her vest, and stooping to the sands. About his neck, she cast her, trembling hands. John Dryden, Fables. 2. Near to. Speak unto the congregation, saying, Get you up, from about the tabernacle of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Exodus. Thou dost nothing. Sergius. Thou canst, endeavor nothing, nay, not think. But I both see, and hear it. And am with thee. By and before. About and, in thee too. Benjamin Jonson, Catalan. 3. Concerning, with regard to. Relating to. When Constantine had finished an house for the service of God at Jerusalem. The dedication he judged a matter not unworthy. About the solemn performance whereof the greatest part of the bishops in Christendom should meet together. Richard Hooker, Book 5, Section 12. The painter is not to take so much pains about the drapery as about the face, where the principal resemblance lies. John Dryden, Preface to Du Fresnoy. They are most frequently used as words equivalent, and do, both of them, indifferently signify either a speculative knowledge of things or a practical skill about them, according to the exigency of the matter or thing spoken of. John Tillotson, Sermon 1. Theft is always a sin, although the particular species of it and the denomination of particular acts doth suppose positive laws about dominion and property. Stillingfleet's Defense of Discourses on Romish Idolatry. They should always be heard, and fairly, and kindly answered, when they ask after anything they would know, and desire to be informed about. Curiosity should be as carefully cherished in children as other appetites suppressed. John Locke, on Education, Section 108. It hath been practiced as a method of making men's court, when they are asked about the rate of lands, the abilities of tenants, the state of trade and manufacture, to answer that in their neighborhood all things are in a flourishing condition. Jonathan Swift's Short View of Ireland. 4. Engaged in, employed upon. Our blessed Lord was pleased to command the representation of his death and sacrifice on the cross should be made by breaking of bread and effusion of wine, to signify to us the nature and sacredness of the liturgy we are about. Jeremy Taylor's Worthy Communicant. Labor, for labor's sake, is against nature. The understanding, as well as all the other faculties, chooses always the shortest way to its end, would presently obtain the knowledge it is about, and then set upon some new inquiry. But this, whether laziness or haste, often misleads it. John Locke. They ought, however, to be provided with secretaries, and assisted by our foreign ministers, to tell their story for them in plain English, and to let us know, in our mother tongue, what it is our brave countrymen are about. Joseph Addison, Spectator, number 309. 5. A pendant to the person, as clothes, etc. If you have this about you, as I will give you, when we go, you may boldly assault the necromancer's hall. John Milton's Comus. It is not strange to me that persons of the fairer sex should like in all things about them that handsomeness for which they find themselves most liked. Robert Boyle, on Colors. 6. Relating to the person as a servant. Liking very well the young gentleman. Such I took him to be. Admitted this Diophantus about me. Who well shewed there is no service like his. That serves because he loves. Sir Philip Sidney, Book 2. Good master, corporal. Captain for my old dame's sake. Stand my friend, she hath no body to do anything about her. When I am gone, and she is old, and cannot help herself. William Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 2. Next page begins with, about adverb. Original source text is in the public domain. This audio recording, including AI-assisted narration, restoration, and editorial structure is copyrighted. 2026, by Muse of Folios. All rights reserved. Above. 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 Above all. Above all. Above all. Above board. Above board. Above board. Above cited. Above cited. Above cited. Above ground. Above ground. Above ground. Above mentioned. Above mentioned. Above mentioned. Abound. 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 About. About. About.